Okay, what's up, guys? Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. Just doing another live weather update, looking at some of the forecast models and kind of just seeing what it's doing for this end of the weekend. I mean, this coming up weekend, end of the week, possible snowstorm across the upper Midwest is me coming across the area. Here's the current European model, the 12Z is updating right now. Now, if we go back to the model that I showed you guys last night, you can see there's a similarity, right? It's constant, it's consistent, right? Even the 12C is showing more similar track to the 00Z from last night. 00Z from last night was really intense. Obviously today's run is a little messier, but it does show still the same similar track for next week, coming across the central United States and moving off to the east sometime at the end of this coming up weekend. And then obviously there's going to be lake effect behind that event. But let's not talk too much about that right now. Let's talk about the possible winter weather that's going to be happening tonight across the upper Midwest and into portions of northern Illinois tonight. So let's go over here and go to Iowa. We'll start out with Iowa first. The NDFD forecast model, obviously. NDFD forecast model not really showing a ton of snowfall accumulation with this system coming out. Now, if you look at the NAM model, it's a different story, obviously. NAM model trying to show some isolated pockets across portions of southern Iowa of an inch or so, maybe an inch or more. But like I said, the lacking cold air with this system coming in tonight into Tuesday early morning is the reason why there isn't a ton of snow with it, unless you're in a colder area, especially out west, Nebraska, South Dakota area. But the NDFD forecast model just really isn't showing anything at all. We go over to the Illinois side, you can see there's some lake effect starting to come in behind this system a little bit into portions of Kalamazoo along the 94 corridor there, Benton Harbor, St. Joseph area as well, near maybe the south side of Grand Rapids. There may be a little bit of some lake effect coming in behind this system on Tuesday when it exits. But other than that, I'm just not seeing a lot of snow accumulation out of this system. I think anyone could see a slushy inch or maybe more, maybe up to 2 inches. That's pushing it. But a lot of these forecast models here are just not showing a ton of accumulation here. The NAM 3KM model is the only one showing a little bit more cold air trying to wrap around the backside. Maybe trying to get some snow on the ground in some areas, but here's just your surface temperature alone when the system comes in late tonight into Tuesday early morning. You see the system, the lows down here obviously, or the lows somewhere right in here. But all the models show either further south or further north. You can see the temperatures to late tonight. We're just hovering around the mid-30s while it's coming in here. So you're going to get that slushy accumulation there on some of the roadways there across portions of northeast Illinois to northwest Indiana. If it is snow on that northwest side, but like I said, lacking cold air wrapping around the back side of the system, it's just not a ton of snow. That's why we're getting that rain and snow mix. So here's the NAM 3 kilometer model there, even showing some freezing rain there, mixing in on the northern half of that. So freezing rain, maybe some sleet, maybe some rain, maybe some snow. Look at that, there's a lake enhancement band there feeding in on the backside as well, which is not a ton of energy. And then there's some lake effect there going into portions of southwest Michigan, western Michigan, Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon, it looks like up there. But like I said, the system comes in with rain for the most part late tonight, and this is showing it coming into southern Iowa late this evening, early afternoon hours, and then coming into Illinois side starting around 6 or 8 p.m. or so there across western Illinois. Rain, a little bit of freezing rain there, just maybe near or north of the IED corridor. Then that system just comes in, and it's just really messy with rain or mixed precipitation, not picking up a lot of accumulation out of the system, if nothing at all. So I give it about a trace to maybe isolated pockets of 1.5 inches slushy accumulation in some open areas. But other than that, do not expect a lot out of this. Even a HER model, I think, is less impressive. Here's the HER model. Let's go back here. I'm going to go back to that 12Z run. Well, the Her model is showing a little bit more colder air, trying to transition maybe into a heavy differential band right there, a mezzo band there, right there on the north side of the low. Um, but the NAM model says different. We'll see how much cold air comes in with this system Tuesday early morning after the low comes by. If let's say the band does switch over to snow, it would be a very heavy wet snow, maybe an inch or half an inch an hour snowfall accumulation in our snowfall rates. But that looks like that's favoring more of northwest Indiana or maybe down near Champaign area. I'm not sure. But it is trying to transition the snow in the backside of the system, but we're just not working with a lot of cold air. But the Her model is showing different now. And then the Her model is showing some lake effect snow there going into portions of southwest Michigan, um, southwest Michigan, western Michigan, obviously Wednesday morning. And someone could be picking up some snowfall accumulation off that lake effect. Um, let's see our winds here. Yeah, there's some cold air coming in behind the system right there. A little bit of winds coming off the lake. Coming, gonna get some of that lake enhancement starting to get going there. That's not what I was trying to look at. Oh, here we go. There's the 10-1. It's to be like a heavy wet snow. But that's where it's showing some isolated areas. Let's say if it did switch over to that heavy wet snow, you could pick up some quick accumulation of it, but it still has to be cold enough at the ground temperature that it's in the stick. But it could the heavier snowfall rates could overcome the warmer ground temperatures, but it's wherever that transition does happen in. So it's not consistent. You guys are seeing the forecast models of what I'm showing you, so don't expect a lot out of this system. Obviously, it's just the first one coming through is not very promising, but there is going to be some lake effect snow there on the backside of the system starting Tuesday late night into Wednesday morning, probably going further on beyond that. Because here's the Michigan side, you can see that there's definitely some lake effect here starting to come in already with the first arrival of some cold air. Yeah, that's what we're looking at here. You can see that there's definitely, and this is just the beginning of this, guys. At the end of next week, after that system passes and more cold air keeps arriving, Southwest Michigan's going to stack up on some very heavy lake effect snow. Here's just a European model. Um, here's just a European model showing it only goes out to just showing how much lake effect snow could happen in the next 2 weeks, but you can see that it's just very active with all these bypasses of cold air and systems and energy here rolling over the lake. So just know, don't pay too much attention to the snowfall totals right now, but just know these lake effect snow belts here, northwest Indiana, southwest Michigan, near Traverse City area, all these areas are going to start picking up some heavy snow starting after this first system, even Wednesday morning. So over the next couple of weeks, some people could see over 2 feet of snow over a long duration of lake effect snow. And this was the 000 run last night. Pretty intense. GFS probably still picking up. Yep. Everyone's going to get lake effect snow out of this system in the next 2 weeks. So with all this cold air coming in, everyone's picking up lake effect snow. It doesn't matter where you are. But what I'm really concerned about was the end of the weekend snowstorm. You're going to have significant icing here across a large portion of the United States, wherever it does track. And the bad part about this is that the system's not coming out of the south, moving northeast. So usually there's colder ahead of it if it's moving, and then the warm air behind it melts all the ice and stuff. So that the icing threat only lasts a little bit. But this system's moving west to east, meaning that it's going to freeze and not warm up behind the system. So there's no rain. It's just like you get the rain to the south, you get the mixing or the sleet or the freezing rain, and you get the snow to the north. But the system moving west to east, this freezing rain is going to stick around unless it's not, treated on the surfaces pretty quickly when it's fallen, because the cold air is there to stay behind the system. So wherever that freezing line sets up, And that warm nose comes in, um, warming at the lower levels, kind of getting that freezing rain, that real effect, and also watching how cold the temperatures are. For a good freezing rain event, you gotta have at least temperatures between 27 to 29 degrees for instant freezing on contact. Even 30 will do it, but when you get like 31, 32, it's kind of hard. And if the freezing rain's falling really heavy in that area, it's just in the pond. It won't be able to freeze because there's so much falling and ponding in the same areas. You usually get that light freezing rain that's very consistent and it adds up over a little bit, and that's where you get your issues because it instantly freezes on that contact. It's not ponding. So we got to figure out where that freezing line is going to be next week. At the end of next week, probably won't even know till Thursday the exact track of the system, but it's starting to become more consistent slowly. But still more details need to come into play, obviously. And here's just another prediction of the accumulation here on the European model. Very sharp gradient line there to the south. And you can see where that freezing lane was overlapping some of that snow as well. So you can see that there isn't really warm air where the freezing rain is, even after when the system leaves, it gets moving west to east. So that freezing rain is going to be definitely an issue wherever it does fall at the end of next week. And you get those lake effect bands. Depending on how strong the system is when it comes in, I know the 00Z hurt on me. I mean, the European model last night was very significant and strong. Don't pay too much attention to that right now because it's still to be determined how strong the system's going to be. The exact track wobbles. Probably know better details by Thursday, the end of this week. But depending on how strong the system is, will determine how strong that lake enhancement band coming in Chicago will be. Usually when you have a west to east system like this, you'll have a northerly wind on the north side, far north side of the system, and you'll get lake effect snow feeding into Chicago. You'll get a north wind, and that band will slowly shift off to the east, dumping an inch to 2 inch an hour snowfall rates. So depending on how strong the system is and how far away it is from the lake, will determine if Chicago gets lake enhancement or lake effect snow gets nailed there. So more details to go into play, but there's a lot of things that are going to be coming together for the snow system, especially significant lake effect snow behind the system and very, very cold, frigid air. Here's the GFS model, of course. You can see the system is weaker on the GFS model, of course. Or maybe it's different timing. Let's see here. It was different timing. The system was further north, but a little bit more weaker. But like I said, we're all going to figure out all those details in the end of this week. Here's the freezing rain potential. Similar area with the European model showing, but just to show you that there's going to be some very heavy precipitation working its way north, transitioning into either snow or freezing rain. And depending on how strong, sorry guys, depending on how strong the system is, it will determine how organized it is, either winter storm warnings or blizzard warnings, depending on how strong the winds are, the deepening of the system, obviously. All I know is that there's going to be a lot of moisture to work with. It's being pulled north, so it'll either be a ton of freezing rain in one area or a ton of snow in the other. So, and here's the Icon model. Icon model, let's see the track so far on this update this morning. So the track is showing further south with the system and not as organized. So like I said, the track can either be further north or further south, and we don't know yet. And that will determine the intensity of the system. More cold air to the system, obviously, more of a bigger winter storm. But other than that, that's all the details that we really have at this moment. It's too far out to really tell the exact track, the exact time and everything, but we can get an idea that there's going to be some sort of winter storm system going into the central U.S. by the end of the week. Time frame roughly between Saturday and Monday. So just be ready for that, but there could be also some small systems like tonight going into Tuesday morning across the upper Midwest that could come in before that as well. But other than that, that's all I have with this live weather update. Stay tuned, and if you have a business and would like to be advertised on my pages, please message me or feel free to send me an email. Thank you.